I built MrBeast's chocolate factory in Minecraft, and in this video I'm going to show you how. Planning is the very first thing to do, and it's really important when you're creating a large build, such as this chocolate factory. So, how did I plan out this build? Well, to start off with, I built a two-dimensional layout so that I would know roughly how big this factory was going to be. This step is really important because you don't want it to be too small, as that limits what you can create. But you also don't want it to be too big, or else that will take too long to build. So, after I created a basic outline, I needed to scale out my plans, because unless you're a tiny Minecraft character, then a 1 block high layout won't be too useful.
Please subscribe.
This is my favourite part of the planning phase, because this is where you get to make some of the major decisions on the exterior of your build. For example, do you want your factory to have a flat roof, a pointed roof, a circular roof, or a cylindrical roof? And well, for this chocolate factory, I just couldn't decide, so I incorporated all of them into the roof. Having a blueprint for a build is great, but it isn't going to help you if you don't actually use it. Hence, the next thing that I had to do was to add walls to the factory by using the blueprint. The first area I built was the entrance. For this area, I wanted my chocolate factory to look similar to the old brick factories, but just using brick would have been boring, so instead I used a light brown gradient. Then, after building the walls at the entrance, I built the walls for the cylinders nearby, but this time I wanted to use a slightly different gradient. So to do that, I used deep slate tiles and then slowly transitioned into copper blocks. Next, I used these two different gradients throughout the entire chocolate factory. I used the deep slate to copper gradients on all the cylinders, and I used the light brown gradients on all the long walls. Then, after I'd finished filling in all the walls, I saw that I was missing something quite important: the roof of the factory. Now, if you remember earlier, I had 4 different styles of roofing going throughout the chocolate factory. Well, now I actually had to build them. So, just as I had 4 completely different styles of roofing, I used 4 completely different block palettes for each roof pattern. I used a copper gradient for the circular roofs, I used deep slate tiles and bricks for the pointed roofs, I used mushroom blocks and orange terracotta for the flat parts, and tinted glass for the cylindrical parts. But once I'd finished building all the roofs I planned out, I still had 4 squared areas left to build on. At first, I didn't quite know what I was going to build, but then I had an idea. I was going to build 4 smokestacks in these empty areas, and this fit in really well to this chocolate factory, as most factories in real life have them too. And so, with the smokestacks built, the exterior was complete. Well, almost. You see, I didn't quite like the original entrance that I'd built, so I had 2 options. Option 1, destroy it and rebuild it better. Or option 2, try and improve what I currently have to create a better entrance. So obviously I went with option 3, forget about the original entrance and go to the opposite side and try building a new entrance there. And so this is what I built for the new entrance. I started out by creating a large MrBeast logo in the center of the build, just to make it clear to anyone seeing this build that this was the MrBeast chocolate factory. Next, I built a large door in the center of the front wall as the main way to get into the factory, along with a small staircase leading up to this large door. I also built a pathway leading into that staircase. However, after I'd done that, I felt like something was lacking from the area, as there was just too much empty space around the pathway. So I decided that a great way to fill in that empty space was to create a delivery depot, as that way there was a way to export all the chocolate made at this chocolate factory. This delivery depot was quite small, but I really liked it. Also, as a way to make it fit in more, I built paths leading from each of the loading stations into the main path. I also used the same pattern of grey blocks throughout all these paths. Additionally, I made sure that there were plenty of details in the spaces between each of the paths, just to make it seem less flat. Also, I built a large barricade around this area, just to make it clearer where the factory starts and ends. And finally, I built a few trucks in this area. These trucks fit in quite well with the scale of the build, and I also made sure to build them using the MrBeast colours, as this is the MrBeast chocolate factory. So, now that the exterior was finally complete, it was time to head on into the interior. So, just like the exterior, I needed to do some more planning. I wanted there to be a main section that you walk into as soon as you enter the MrBeast chocolate factory, and that room would be something similar to the Chocolate River room in the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory film. Hence the planned out chocolate river and sporadic paths with moss fields everywhere. So, after I had a basic layout of this main hall, I needed to add some interior walls, because I really did not want to use my brown gradient walls for this part of the build. So, for the lower part of the main hall, I used a spruce, barrel and sandstone combination for the walls, and for the upper part of the main hall, I created some small stone cliffs, and then behind that I had flat walls that were a mixture of looms, bricks and granite. And so once I'd done that, I was ready to add all the magical details to the main hall. Well, not quite, because the ceiling of this hall is a bit, well, ugly. So I wanted to fix that first, and while what I created wasn't the best ceiling ever, it does definitely fit in quite well with the block palettes of both walls. And with all the prep work complete, it was finally time to add the detailing. My first step was to change out some of the moss, and the way that I did this was once again by using a gradient, but this time it was a greener gradient. Next up was the chocolate river. For this part of the build, I used the fog effect, which is essentially where you layer up a ton of glass on top of each other and it can create quite a cool effect like this. Afterwards, I built bridges going across the chocolate river, as well as building a small waterfall made out of chocolate running into the chocolate river. Next, I added some of the basic details for the main hall. For example, I added some leaves, azaleas, amethyst, and small mushrooms. They all work really well as smaller details, and they also complement really well with the bigger details as well. And those bigger details were things such as 2 large custom oak trees, but also more importantly, plenty of unique different colored trees. These different colored trees were really important for the build, as it just added so much more color and intrigue to the factory, and that's something that is really needed on a magical chocolate factory like this one. So, while it's great that the main hall was complete, there were still other rooms that needed to be built. After all, this is a chocolate factory, and there needs to be somewhere to gather all the ingredients to make this chocolate. And as this is the MrBeast chocolate factory, I wanted the rooms where the ingredients were harvested to be based off his chocolate brand. And as such, I built 3 different rooms for his 4 key ingredients. First off, I built a sunflower room where you could harvest all the sunflower lecithin that you could possibly need, and as an extra for this room, I built a small redstone machine that shoots sunflowers up a water column to the surface. I also made a honey block entrance to this room, which I think fits in quite well. Next up was the sugarcane room. Now I wanted this room to be a bit larger than the sunflower room, but I also wanted to make sure that I could see all the sugarcane at all times. So as a way to do that, I created a really deep down sugarcane farm, and I added a lime glass ceiling. That way you can still see all of the sugarcane farm. And as an extra bonus, the lime glass fits in really well with the sugarcane farm that I created. Finally, the cocoa bean room. This is where the cocoa butter and cocoa beans are harvested to make the chocolate. I wanted this room to have a completely different feel to it. So in order to do that, I created a small drop chute that leads downwards into some water. Then I created 3 long tunnels that just had a ton of cocoa beans planted throughout that you could easily harvest. And so the chocolate factory was finally completed. Well, not quite. There were still 2 more rooms that I wanted to add, and those rooms were some vaults. You see, MrBeast gives away a very small amount of money here and there, so that means that they probably need to keep some vaults on hand to keep all that money safe. So for his factory, I built 2 secure vaults with the use of command block powered doors and hidden buttons to activate them. That way it keeps all of his diamonds and emeralds safe. And so I had now finally finished building MrBeast's chocolate factory. But wait, there's more. I have a world download for this map in the description of this video, and if you want to download the map and try and find all 10 hidden secrets, I'll give you a custom rank on my Discord server. But either way, I hope you enjoy the map as well as this video. If you did, don't forget to like that smash button, and I would highly recommend that you watch this video next. And as always, thank you for watching.